define punk comedy?
Punk means a lot of different things to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people know me, and I'm kind of the punk comedy guy, but I don't wear a mohawk or have spiky black, Ramones jackets or anything. To me, it's always been more about attitude and like what you do. But to a lot of people, punk rock is a leather jacket and studs in your jacket, and not going to work. That's punk rock to some people, But for me, it's always been like Henry Rollins is a big influence on me, and he's a workaholic maniac, and so I try and really, I'm pretty ambitious when it comes to like a work ethic. So, but really for, my definition of punk comedy is just not catering to what a specific audience might want to hear versus what you want to do creatively. We could probably play bigger rooms if we tone down our attitudes a little bit. But that kind of would defeat the purpose for me. It's more about self-expression and doing what I think is funny than trying to cater to a mass audience. And maybe I'd be richer if I did that. But I'm happy with where I'm at, and it's much more satisfying doing it on your own terms.
Okay. And how do other punk bands respond to you?
It's funny because 90% of the punk bands that I know and I like and I'm buddies with now all confess I always wanted to try stand-up. And I would say 90% of the comedians I know always wanted to be in a band. So it's like this funny yin-yang thing, And there's performers, like I'm really good friends with Mike, the singer for the Riverboat Gamblers, and I just went out and did a tour with them and Dead to Me and Off of Their Heads last month, which was awesome. But Mike, I'm just starting to draw him into stand-up now, but he is an amazing frontman, and he runs around and jumps like a maniac. And it's funny to hear someone that animated and that, into their craft say, I don't know how you get on stage by yourself. It's just a funny dynamic, But every once in a while, sometimes bands may be hesitant to like it until they see it. They might say, what's punk comedy, dude?
Yeah.
What does that mean? You're going to tell, Misfits jokes or they expect me to have a mohawk and a bomber's jacket or something. But for the most part, once they see it, they love it. So, the response has been really good. I toured on Warped Tour, and I would say 90% of the bands that saw it were stoked on it. So, and touring with bands for me is super fun because the audiences are the same that we try and play. Like that Riverboat Gamblers tour was the most fun I've done in a long time. And I host punk rock bowling in Las Vegas every year. The Youth Brigade puts on. So that's like all bands and me and Joe Sib, who runs Cy One Dummy Records. And so, when you're playing to only bands, they become your peer group. So I'm actually more comfortable around a lot of bands than I am around a lot of comedians, honestly.
Oh, wow. You just know a lot about the punk scene and everything. You have your magazine, your tour, and everything. So then how would you define punk rock?
Again, to me, it just comes about really doing stuff yourself, not waiting. I see so many bands, a lot of younger bands too on Warped Tour that, kind of expect things to be handed to them, or they hit a certain level of fame and they kind of say, okay, I have managers or whatever to handle that. And I don't know if it's just that I'm a control freak or that it's the way I was raised, but I think you should just keep going after stuff and not get complacent just when you hit a certain level of popularity or whatever, you want to call it. And so for me, it's about having a good work ethic and not letting other people tell you what you can or can't do. And I'm a big advocate for free speech. So, a lot of comedy clubs really make you water down your content, which is, I could make a big payday doing comedy club. But, I don't want to do that if it means I have to water down my material or not do stuff that I think is important to say, So to me, that's punk rock. It'd be easier to water it down a little bit and make a lot of money. But I'd rather make less money and do what I think is important. To me, that's punk rock. That it can be done on your own terms, that you don't have to. It's harder initially. I always say, the first tour we ever booked, because we mainly did rock clubs, was the toughest tour I ever booked. Because it's like, what is it? Comedy in a rock club? I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah. And so we said, just put us in there. I don't care if you give us $20 to the night. Let us try it. And that being said, the second tour we booked was the easiest tour ever, because they were like, that was great, come back, please come back. And it was great. The word of mouth, crowds got bigger each time. So, that to me is punk rock, and it means it's working. So that's, pretty much all I can ask for.
So is there a punk comedy scene out there, or is it just
There's an alt comedy scene. They call it alt comedy. So there's people like Patton Oswalt and David Cross and people like that started touring, but that's more indie. It's like more of an indie thing, and I admire those guys, and I like both of them very much. But what I do is there's a different attitude to it. It's just like there's a difference between the orange stage here and the black stage here. You know, it's the punk rock stage or there's the orange stage. I would say we're the black stage as opposed to the orange stage. Both are good. You know, I'm excited to see a lot of stuff on the. I'm stoked to see Spoon, you know, and Black Joe Lewis and stuff. But I'm more of a Murder City Devils, the damned guy. You know what I mean? So it's just a slight different approach. As far as a punk comedy scene, honestly, I haven't seen too many other people lumped in with that. You know, Joe Sib, like I said, he runs a radio show called Complete Control, and he runs Siwan Dummy Records, which is home to Flogging Molly and a bunch of great bands. And he does punk comedy. Like, we found each other and hit it off and toured together a bunch. And, but, you know, by and large, you know, I'm sure there's kids out there doing it, but I haven't really come across it. So
yeah, this is the first time like I've heard of like punk comedy.
Yeah, we kind of, you know, and to me it would always seem like a no-brainer. I was like, I couldn't believe nobody had really, you know, tried that before. But everybody's like, oh my god, you know. So yeah, we're for better or for worse, I'm kind of the punk comedy guy now.
Okay.
You know, so
yeah,
but I'll take it.
Yeah, it's a good title.
It's a good tag. I'll take it.